Okay, welcome everyone to another monthly Round Pen call. We're always excited for these calls, and it's amazing to see where everyone is dialing in from around the world. So if we can just make sure that you guys stay on mute. A couple of housekeeping. This is meant to be really interactive. So use the chat, use the reactions as well as we're talking. So again, just a reminder to be on mute because we've all got busy lives going on. And just again, this is recorded so that you can watch later on. So Tamara and I are from Equine Assisted Way. We're both serial entrepreneurs and also have our own facilities as well. I have Seen and Heard Equine and Tamara has Cimarron Way. Between the two of us, we've got over 30 years of horse and business experience, and we are passion on fire to see other facilitators exceed and to share our knowledge. So giveaway, you will be entered for a giveaway to receive a 1-hour mentorship session with either myself or Tamara, or you can opt to get our sponsorship program. So in order to enter the draw, please put your name into the chat so I can record it rather than going through everyone's what they've logged in as. Just because some of them, perfect, thank you, Lynn. Some of them are logged in as iPhone and things like that. So make sure you pop your name into the chat so I can, there we go. Thank you guys. Okay, so I want to take a couple seconds to introduce Tamara. If you haven't already listened to her speak or met her, she is a wonderful woman, very inspiring to be around. She's got so much experience in helping entrepreneurs, helping people with her business, with her horses and her herd up in Tejon Cash. She's passionate on fire about so many things, and without further ado, here she is.
Great. Thanks so much, Jess. And Jess, you're the only one I can see. So can you give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Round Pen Live. Right off the bat, I just want to say thanks for showing up. The whole thing about live is that there's a different energy when you show up to something live. You hold your life for that hour, right? In the expectation that you're going to trade that time for value. And so that's our goal here at the Round Pen, is that you get value that you can take into your business and grow it to whatever level that you're looking to grow it, okay? But thank you for showing up live, because the thing is, yes, we do record, and everybody wants to know, do we record? And some people are going to hear this on the recording and say, you know, when I say fortune favors the bold and the brave, and the ones who show up live are the bold and the brave, the people in recording go, huh, what's that about? Well, here's the thing. I do it as well. When you show up on recording, you pause because you say, I'm kind of hungry, I'm going to go get a little snack. Or you think, I'm going to save that in my saved items and I'm going to go back for it later. And you never do, right? You miss the chat, you miss the engagement, which is what I love about the Round Pen Live, is that place of everybody has a different opinion, everybody has different views, and we together form the professional facilitators that inspire innovative ideas. And so if this is your first time to the Round Pen Live, welcome. If this is your third or fourth time, congratulations, and thank you for coming back. Because that line of professional facilitators inspiring innovative ideas, we are all the professional facilitators, and you inspire me when you put your ideas and your reactions in the chat. So we try to grab topics that are relevant, and really for relevance for me, I always say it's about coaching one step ahead of where you just were. And so these are things that I'm not preaching to you about, I'm talking to myself about, okay? So without further ado, how to crush imposter syndrome and turning your obstacles into opportunities. There's a mouthful. Thanks, Jess. And so Jess is going to be running the slideshow because I'm obviously in my truck on the road. But what exactly is imposter syndrome? Somebody asked this the other day in the group, and I thought, how great is that? I mean, you know, I'm sure that there's many of you, and until I heard the term, that think, I don't even know what that really means, but it's the bold ones who are actually willing to ask those questions, right? And so imposter syndrome really is about people who are often high achievers, and I'll talk about that in a moment, who doubt their accomplishments and fear being discovered as a fraud, okay? And so I want to talk about high achievers for a moment. The fact that you showed up means that you're a high achiever. The fact that you're stepping out into a fairly unknown field and saying, I know that there's power in the herd, means you're a high achiever. The fact that you're looking to do your own thing or you're partnered up into a facility means that you're a high achiever. So I want to, right now, no one gives you the gold star, so I'm going to crown you a high achiever right now. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Who doubt their accomplishments? So we all have accomplishments. So often as high achievers, we don't celebrate our accomplishments. Oh, Jess, if you can find that, mute it, that'd be great. We doubt our accomplishments or we don't celebrate our wins, okay? And so know that you have a huge basket full of accomplishments and wins. But here's the thing, the fear of being discovered as a fraud. When I say the word fraud, it actually like in my chest feels tight because that's such a powerful word, right? In a very powerful negative way for me. And so it's just this feeling of, can you imagine going out into your pasture and working with your herd and the energy you are giving off is fraudulent? Is that you don't deserve to be there? Is that there's not a place there? I think for most of us, if that's how we felt, we wouldn't actually be able to move forward, okay? So here's the thing, Jess, if you can go to the next slide. Sometimes, and I'm always here for the butt kick, okay? Are you actually impostering? Here's the thing, sometimes you are, okay? And it's really, really important to understand the difference between being a bit fearful or nervous and actually impostering, okay? So first question, and I'd like to know with anybody, get into the chat. Are you working in a lane that is not yours? Are you working with people that are not your niche, okay? Are you trying to be everything to everyone and in turn, ending up no one to anyone? I just need to figure out, Emma, if you can go on mute, that would help. Yeah, Emma, if you can mute out. Thank you. Yeah, so working in a lane that is not yours is the quickest way to feeling like an imposter, okay? It's so important that we figured out our niche. Our niche is the people we need to be working with, that 1 inch wide by a mile deep, the people that we can affect change with, the people that we are coaching one step ahead of because we've been there. Okay. And so, yeah, trying to be everything to everyone means that you end up nothing to anyone. Okay. And that can be the harsh truth. And that's the butt kick that I'm here to bring you. Okay. And so, yeah, consulting with different team members. Absolutely, Nadia. A really good way to get around this impostering piece. Number two, are you trying to do this work or as if you were a guru? Are you looking at somebody else and saying, well, Nadia in South Africa, she's doing it this way and it's amazing, so I have to do it that way. Or I'm trying to do it like Jane and do it exactly like Jane would do it. Realizing that we are all different. We all have different superpowers, and trying to show up the way someone else is doing it is a recipe for failure, and you're on the quick lane to impostering. And again, you are impostering at that point. You're trying to pretend you're someone else to do your work. Okay. And number three, are you puppeteering? What a word, huh? Puppeteering your horses around with an expected outcome. Okay. So if you're out there and you're training your horses, expecting them to do something specific as you take them around, and you're hauling them around the course and expecting that this is what the client will feel or the person will feel, you're definitely impostering. Okay. This is about the horse-human connection, not the facilitator guru and the horse contributing, okay? And so the beautiful thing is that we as contributors get to come from that place of what we bring to the table. And when we come authentic every single time from what we bring to the table, there's no room in imposter, okay? Imposter sits in a very low level where we are pretending to be somebody else, okay? And so, yeah, you have to be comfortable in your own way. iPhone just said that. Absolutely. It is phenomenal to be able to have this group, to be able to lean in and see what other people do, but being able to do it in your own way is just so important. And so I can't comment on all the chat because they're coming up quick. But Jess, if we want to go to the next slide, what I'd like people to do is pop in and just get a thought of, aha, I do feel like imposter when I do this. Clearly not, that's not my zone. And so I'd like you to pop that in the chat. Where are you impostering? Okay. And where are, and if you're really feeling it, what in the place where you're feeling like, ooh, I'm not good enough for this, should you stay in your own lane and maybe you're skipping over? And so I'll give you an idea. When I work with people who are not ready to change or have nothing that they want to work on, I am definitely in imposter. Okay. I don't do well pretending we're playing with ponies and being out there. So that is a big imposter for me. And when I get that feeling, I have to refer them somewhere else because it's not my zone of empower. Diane, I love the vulnerability. Your worries about impostering have kept you from even starting. My goal for you, Diane, is that we get you somewhere today that you get excited, fired up, passionate, on fire to make this happen. Okay. Yeah, kids who say, I don't know. Again, this is not judging. This is looking at ourselves and just an awareness of where do we not serve other people because we are in a very low state. Okay. So this is exciting. I love everybody's chat. I feel it when I try to make my horses do what I think they need to do. Good one. Oh, you guys are amazing. So where is the zone of imposter? Okay, you hear me talk about this all the time. There's 4 levels. At incompetence, that is our base zone. Incompetence is an area we shouldn't spend any time. It's what we're putting in right now. It's puppeteering our horses. It's for me working with people that don't want to make a decision and don't want to grow. For someone else, it might be working with veterans. It's just not their comfort zone. And I want to be clear that incompetence used to be lower. We live in a world where we can Google, we can YouTube, we can figure out a way to move ourselves up the scale. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. In incompetence, things take us way longer than they should. Okay, when I think for myself, building websites. Just because I could build a website doesn't mean I should. Okay, so really, really important there. And so imposter breeds in the zone of incompetence, okay? Because when we get there and we're in that zone and we get a call, and let's say it's from a clinical counselor, and they say, I would love to come out myself. And we feel completely out of our zone. We don't feel comfortable. Everything in our body is screaming no. And then we say, but she's willing to pay, but they're willing to pay. Come on out. That feeling of imposter is going to go higher and higher and higher if we know, like we know, we are in incompetence. Okay. So moving up, one up from incompetence is competence. And so competence is something that you can do, but it brings you no joy. Okay. Again, as equine entrepreneurs, I want to be clear, your competence level is much higher than other people. Okay. Why? Because you have to do it all. You're running your facility, you're taking care of horses, you're feeding, you've got families, you've got other work, you've got so much going on. You can do it all. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And so in competence, the feedback isn't even necessarily negative. However, it brings you no joy. So I'd love to know in the chat, what is your zone of competence? Things you can do, but it brings you no joy. You shouldn't be doing it. I'll tell you, for me, anything to do with tech, anything to do with kind of admin work. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. Takes me way longer. And if anybody was ever to say, hey, can you train me on admin work? I could do it, but I would feel like an imposter. Okay, so that's it. Same with, again, for me, working with people who, are very surface in the work they come to do with the horses. Okay, that's a zone of competence for me. I should not be doing it. Okay, technology and Excel, perfect. Cindy, imposter coming up with new exercises. Okay, good awareness, Cindy. Fantastic. Cindy, I would ask you, and you don't have to answer on the chat, is the imposter coming up from having to do the new exercises the way they're written down there, or just allowing that to flow with your herd? Okay. Yeah, a lot of admin work and technology here because we're equine entrepreneurs, not administrative entrepreneurs. Okay, Pauline, technology, fantastic, everyone. So you can see where, and you can just throw it in. Do you not feel much more like an imposter when you're doing things you should not be doing, where you actually are being an imposter, okay? Where because you can do them, you shouldn't have, you just because you can doesn't mean you should. Coming up with new ideas. Well, lean into this group because we're all about ideas. Okay, so let's move into excellence. So as we move up, excellence. I also call this the zone of success, and this is the riskiest zone for success for your business, and it's also the riskiest zone for imposter. Why? Because the zone of success looks like success. The zone of success, you're making money. The zone of success, the feedback from the people coming to your facility or whatever we're talking about is positive. Okay, there's a but. Everybody else thinks you're doing a phenomenal job, but you're not enjoying it. You feel like an imposter. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop, where it's like, I'm doing this, but how long can this last? When will they find me out? Okay. And so success, you're working at a level where, again, people are happy with the results, but you're not working in your niche. Okay. So you're getting success. People are coming, you're making money, but you don't feel fulfilled. Why? Because there's a level beyond success, and it's called significance. When we work in success, and again, risky, and it's risky because it's a slower drive down to imposter. It's a slower drive down to burnout, but it's still going. It's just a slow burn, okay? And so to give you an example of imposter, I don't do well working with children that, that aren't working on something major. That's just the thing. That's not my zone of genius. And so we have a program, it's called Leadership Through Horsemanship. It's a group program where you learn skills on the ranch and transform them into leadership skills in life. Phenomenal program. I'm an imposter in that arena, okay? I shouldn't be working there. That's not my zone. People get great results, but it's not my zone. And so I put it on, and I had 11 kids come through in 2 hours, and everyone loved it but me. And in that time, it was great money. I mean, it was $1,100 in 2 hours. And so it shows that just because you're in success doesn't mean you don't feel imposter. And every day I would walk down to the pasture thinking, who am I to be teaching these children leadership skills? I'm not coaching one step ahead of where I just was. I've never coached kids leadership skills. To be honest, I have no desire to. And when I say I have no desire to, that doesn't come from a place of not caring about kids and leadership skills. I'm really passionate about that. But I'm passionate about other people doing it, because some of you on the call, that's your zone of genius. That's where you should be working, teaching leadership skills to children through horses. Powerful stuff, but that's not my zone of genius, okay? And so in that place, week by week, 6 weeks in a row, it's hard to believe you could feel that $1,100 did not make it worth it to step into the pasture, but it didn't. I would have done 2 one-on-ones and been thrilled to be in my zone of genius with my niche. And so I'd love to know, because this one is hard. In your zone of excellence, where you're actually good at it, where the results are good and everyone else thinks you're doing phenomenal, where are you feeling imposter in your zone of excellence or your zone of success? So that second to top ladder, okay? And this is a hard one, because to delete those things out to move yourself from imposter can be tough. So I'd love to know. Let's think on that. So I had to say, I will never, every single child that went through that wanted level 2, and I had to say no. Okay, I could have hired somebody else, but I personally had to say no. So what is your zone of excellence that's teetering you in imposter? I'd love to know. Pop it in there. It's a hard one, isn't it? So as you think about those and get those typed, let's talk about genius. There is a level beyond success, and it's called genius. And it's called significance, actually. Yeah, teaching basic, beginner, left, right. Whoa, good one, Cynthia. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean you should do it. There's a level beyond success, and it's called significance. And so at your top level, you work in genius, you work in significance, you work in your strengths, your gifts. You lean on your past achievements because you own them. Because when you're not an imposter, you can own your achievements. You can own your significance, and you can show up every single day working at that highest level. We're in that level, we're in a zone of being able to empower. Okay. And so moving from imposter to empowerment means moving from incompetence, moving from a lane you should never have been in, and stepping into empower, stepping into the lane of your gifts, your strengths, and moving towards where you can lay a foundation for other people for transformation and results. Okay. And so here's the thing: empowering significance does not happen in incompetence, and imposter does not happen in genius. Okay. So I would ask yourself, where you feel imposter, are you coaching one step ahead of where you just were? Are you working with your gifts and strengths? Are you working within your niche? Or have you stepped into a lane that's not yours, bringing this point forward of feeling like I am, I'm trying to be everything to everyone, and none of them are landing. I'm sitting in a place of imposter. Okay. And so when you step up to who you really are and bring your gifts to the world, you step into empowerment. And from that place, people can feel you and find you a mile away. Jess, you want to go to the next slide? And while we go there, pop it in. I want to know, and everybody else wants to know, what are the things that you are best at? Okay. And this is hard to do, but really, really important. What are the things you are best at? Okay. Kimberly, love it. People going towards their true north mission. Boom. Love it. People will be attracted to that. I guarantee, here's the thing. When you step into genius, you step up into significance. You step up into a level where there's very little competition. Why? Because no one is you, and that's your superpower. Super cheesy, but no one is you, and that's your superpower. What you bring to this world, you're the only one who can bring that forward, okay? People want to find their inner potential. I love it, okay? And so the competition becomes way less, and the imposter goes out the door when you work in the zone, in your lane, in your sandbox, in your niche, okay? And so you have a powerful zone of genius, and it's only working from that place that the magic happens. Imposter and significance do not reside in the same room. That's the good news. That's the answer to how you get rid of it. Imposter and genius do not reside in the same room. And if you're going, I don't like the word genius because I don't think I have that in me, I guarantee you were born with genius. You were born with strengths and gifts. You have worked on them over the years. You will die with those. It is up to you how much you wear those out in between. Okay. Best at working with kids in general. Tiffany, I love it. I love it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't shorten your name. You may not like that, but good job, Tiffany. I love that. They don't reside in the same room. So I'm going to tell you a funny little story. I saw my nephews the other day, and my nephew's 3, and we walked into a place, and he literally went like this with his wrist, and he said, disengage superpowers. And then he walked in, and I died laughing because I thought we all need to go back to that child who knows our gifts and our strengths. Okay. So Jess, on to the next slide. All right. So I guess I didn't realize I was finishing up on that. The answer to your imposter, when you feel it, I would ask 2 questions. Number 1, am I understanding my achievements, or am I belittling those? Because that could be it. And if it's not that, you're in the wrong lane. Okay. You are impostering. Step into the lane and coach one step ahead of where you just were. Okay. So it's not about knowing it all, because your herd are the gurus. You get to sit back and ask great questions. You are the contributor. Okay. One step ahead is the accumulation of your entire life. It's the gifts and strengths you were born with, and it's the work you have done in the meantime. Okay. Awesome, Melissa, coaching. I love it. Okay. So turning obstacles into opportunities. This is a big one. Jess, go to the next slide. I love talking about obstacles and opportunities. And the reason being is because how you look at obstacles matter. Okay. It's in your greatest obstacles that you're presented with your greatest opportunity to grow. And I say often here, but I'm going to say it's every single time. If you look back at your life, the biggest opportunities did not come when you were flying high. They were when you were in it, you were committed, you saw an obstacle, and you figured out a way to look at the other side of the coin. Okay. The solution is never in the problem. It's a different energy. However, so often we look in the problem and wonder why we can't find a solution, okay? It's the same with obstacles and opportunities. Obstacle is simply one side of the coin, and without them, we cannot see the opportunity, okay? And so this is about choice. You have to choose, and you can't choose the easy way and say it's time to give up because I found an obstacle, or you will never see the opportunity, okay? And so it's about shifting your mindset. And when an obstacle comes up, realizing I don't know what it is, and I might not be ready for that obstacle today, but there is another opportunity coming out of this, and I'm not backing off until I find that. So how do we do that? Jess, on to the next. So do you have an actual goal? If you do not have a goal, if you do not know where you're going in your horse facilitated business, when an obstacle pops up, it becomes an obstacle, and it sits you in that place of a problem and an obstacle. And the energy of a problem and obstacle never take you to solution and opportunity, okay? But when you have a goal and you know where you're going and an obstacle comes up, it's simply an opportunity for you to evaluate your goal and make a decision to recommit. And sometimes you have to recommit to the same goal and remind yourself there's an opportunity here. I'm going for my goal. We are getting there no matter what. And I'm going to take what it takes. I'm going to do what it takes to get there. Okay. And sometimes it ignites in us a pivot, a realization that that's the goal. And I also need to do this. And I also want to do this. Okay. And so number one, when an obstacle comes up, my question for you, and my question right now is, do you have a goal? So go ahead and pop it in the chat. What's your goal? Why are you doing this? Okay. Pop in a goal. What's your goal? Share it. You know, speaking it out loud, typing it out loud brings life to it. Okay. So what's your goal? And while you put that in there, I want to talk a little bit about goals versus commitments. And so starting the services, I love it, Donna. A goal is something that can be easy to say and easy to lip service. Okay. A commitment is a whole different thing. When you think about, I made it a goal to babysit my grandchildren once a week, and you say, I made a commitment to babysit the grandchildren once a week, what's the difference? Okay. There is a huge difference. And so I'd love you bringing peace. I love that, Kelly. Sue, to get started. Totally. I'd love you to, out of this, find your way to make these goals that you're putting into the chat a commitment. And what's the difference? Commitments are based on results. If you made a goal to see your grandkids once a week, but then things got busy and you didn't get there, you made a goal, but it wasn't a commitment. If you made a commitment, we know that you made a commitment based on whether you showed up to take care of the grandkids once that week, okay? And so when you hold yourself to a higher level, you start hitting your goals. You start hitting those commitments. How do we know you made a commitment? Based on results. And so I've coached people for years and years and years, and they would set goals. And I would say, are you willing to commit? And they'd say, yeah. And I'd say, we'll see. And I think that annoyed them. But here's the thing. The only way that I know if they made a goal was based on results. So I'd like to know again in the chat, we've all put some really powerful goals. And Jessica made a goal to create a movement in horse facilitated development and change the world. With that, allowing the world to know the power of our herds, all of us around the world, and realize that, you know, we are really making gains and shakes in the mental health space. Okay. So for us, that's not a goal, that's a commitment. That's why we show up. Okay. And that's the difference. That's why you show up. So again, in the chat, is it a goal or is it a commitment? Okay. Commitments are based on results. And it's knowing that no matter what obstacles get in your way, you will find the opportunity to move closer and recommit towards your commitments. Love it, Kimberly. We have a commitment. Lynn, love it. Jess, next slide, please. All right. So focus on what you can do. Nadia, I love it. I love it. You guys are incredible. You already showed up. I have no doubt you're committed. Okay. Just hold yourself in that place of a higher level. You know, that commitments are based on results. I hold myself to a higher level. And when you start holding yourself to a higher level, you start facilitating at a higher level. Your horses step up to a higher level, and the tangible results and transformational change starts hitting at a higher and higher level. Oh, I wish I saw Emma's comment, because now Cynthia's cheering her on. So I missed that. But Emma, I love it. Whatever it is, it's good. So focus on what you can do. Let's talk about turning obstacles into opportunities. Yeah, Brenda, awesome. Glad that that hit for you. So let's talk about some obstacles. And these ones I think are typical that we see in the round pen. These are ones I've come up against. Let's talk about it because they can be something that holds you back or they can be something that catapults you forward. So no covered arena, no barn, no covered arena, no shelter. I can't get started. Okay. Anybody relate to this one? And again, throw it in the chat. I know I did because when I started 2 years ago, October. Okay. And actually, I tell you that for a reason. I tell you that because some of our excuses on imposter is I've not been doing this long enough. Okay. There's people who've been doing this work for 30 years and there doesn't mean that they're any better at it than you. Okay. And there's people who are walking out today with no certification that are creating absolutely incredible facilities and changing lives everywhere they look. This is not about time. If that's your obstacle, make it an opportunity. If that's your imposter, step one lane ahead of where you just were and start coaching. So no covered arena. Yeah, I am Northern British Columbia in Canada. I left a snowstorm this morning. It's not now, but we didn't have any covered buildings. And I said to my husband, I'm so ready to get going, but I can't. Who is going to come out in our weather? And he looked at me and he said, you just got to get going. I said, no, like I need like $100,000 so I can build a covered arena because that's what we need. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking if you have it because that's your lane, right? Just talking about obstacles. And he said, then set a goal, make a commitment in the next 12 months to make the money, but get out there and prove to yourself you can do this. And I did. And so got out there, worked our butt off. And you know what happened? I said no one would come in the cold. Everyone comes in the cold. Why? Because we show up. At -20, nobody else shows up. The buses stop running. The schools close. The workplace closes. Cars are hard to start. But we show up every single time. We never cancel. You can cancel on us after -20, but we will never cancel on you. And so we became that place for people who needed somewhere to go. When they knew that they could rely on, we became the place that they could rely on. Okay. And so we showed up. When it's windy out, I don't like working in the wind. I don't like the unpredictability. We call it calm in the eye of the storm. And we do a session around how does the client stay calm in the eye of their personal storm? That's a powerful one. And I grant you everything we have, use it. Okay. Shelter. When it's hot, we hide in the trees and we talk about shelter and the horses join us. We talk about shelter. And where shelter can protect our heart and where sometimes we're protecting ourselves too much with shelter. Long story short, yeah, Emma, reliability. A year later, I said to my husband, we did it. We worked our butt off. We were full. We had a phenomenal year. We had the money saved to build that arena. And I said, I'm just trying to figure out what we're going to do. And, I go into this mode and he said, Tamara, just make sure you know what you need. You know what we needed? Nothing. We have put absolutely nothing up. Why? And I don't think we ever will. Definitely not to that level. Why? Because people come because of our reliability. People come because of our elements. People come and they say, Tamara, I can breathe here. Okay. They don't come for a covered arena. And if I put up a covered arena today, it would become our obstacle, which did convert into our greatest opportunity. Okay. Start looking at things differently. Okay, what can you do? So the riding barn down the road is charging $40 or maybe $25 or whatever it is. Anybody have this in your area? How do I compete? Well, right off the bat, how do you compete? You step into genius, you step into significance. You're the only person that can compete with yourself there. Hold yourself to a high level. However, the promise of learning to ride a horse and the promise of transformation and change is two different promises. So when we started, there's a barn in town. They've got a covered arena. They're Chris Irwin Insights. He comes out all the time. They have, it's like a dude ranch. They've got cabins. They're 2 minutes from town and we're 30 minutes. Does this resonate with anybody? And again, look around at your competition, put it into you. And I realized right off the bat is if I don't differentiate, if we don't step into significance, if we don't make a decision to facilitate at a high level and differentiate ourselves from a riding barn, we're going to have to charge $40. We charge 4 times as much as the local riding barn. We are 30 minutes out of town and we are full. Why? Because the promise of transformation and change is a very different promise than the promise of teaching someone to ride a horse. Two different things. Again, zone of genius. If your zone of genius is teaching to ride, fantastic, go after that. But again, if I focused on what they do, I would have to charge $40 and I wouldn't do that. We would be out of business, okay? Focusing on what we can do created that differentiating piece where where we are is very clear. We do transformation and change. They do riding lessons, okay? So how do you rework it around the competition around you? How do you not just try to fight the obstacle, but create the opportunity, okay? I live rural, nobody will drive. Again, I'm not going to go into a big long story, but my trading area is less than 1,000 people. We have people from all over the world that come to our facility. Why? Because we made a decision to do something different. For the people that come here locally, you know, one of the first things they say, and this is going to relate to you, and on top of I can breathe here, because that's usually the first one, they love the feeling of rural. They love the feeling of expansive. They love being able to stretch their neck and their shoulders and feel like they have some space. They love the drive and leaving things in town, okay? They love going somewhere else where they can peel back the layers and find out who they are. And so here's the thing, you didn't, you know, move to your place or choose to work at your place or buy your place because it was a crappy location, okay? You did because you could breathe there, because you found a space that felt inspiring and empowering. It's the exact same reason the people are excited to jump in their car and drive half an hour, 1 hour, an hour and a half to be able to come to your place and meet your incredible herd, okay? This goes on and on and on. Again, what can you do? I'd like to know right now, has anybody had any ahas of something you're looking at as an obstacle? You're sitting in the problem as opposed to realizing you're sitting in an obstacle and a problem based on the rules that are fake, based on what you think everyone else is doing, okay? How do you turn it to an opportunity? So I have no I'm just talking until you guys want to throw them in there. But yeah, Nadia, no one wants to leave. Exactly. Being around horses in a beautiful rural environment is therapeutic in itself, let alone this incredible work we do. Okay. I have no mental health background. I personally have no mental health background, although I work in very high trauma mental health. How do we do that? Again, I can sit on what I can't do, or I can go to the side of my horses are absolutely incredible at what they do. They are the professionals. They are the guru. I get to be the contributor. And so, no, I am not a therapist, but I will always stand behind the fact that my horses provide absolutely incredible therapy. Okay. So for me, that's the opportunity, is that I don't have to be a therapist. I get to sit back. I just get to breathe. And iPhone, absolutely. The presence of my horses is magic. Oh, come on. I mean, we do such powerful work, everyone. Focusing on what we can't do is, it's just holding us back from this incredibleness that all of us have inside. But from this work, this powerful work that we're doing that can change lives around the world. That's why we're here. And you get to put your hand in and be a part of that. And so, yeah, someone about the shelter. Yeah, so what is your obstacles? What's holding you back? And why are you holding on to the obstacles or the problem, as opposed to making the decision to step into the solution and the opportunity? Every one of these 4 on here, I went through, and I mean, we all have a zillion of them. They've all become my greatest opportunity. I love working in very high risk mental health, knowing that I'm just a contributor. I get to ask great questions, but I get to watch the magic unfold. Okay. Kim used to take summers off, but not anymore. Yeah, I love this. I love this. Okay, Jess, let's see what else we got for a slide here. Letting go of the reins. Here's the thing. Sometimes we have to let go of the reins. Some things are going to not look the way you envisioned, okay? Making a commitment is a commitment to something larger than you, okay? That's the level beyond success. It's significant. But understand that it may not look the way you envisioned. It could look so much more incredible, okay? If you stay committed to achieving the goal, things can work out even better than ever planned. Okay, so much better. I'll tell you a very quick story. I was a year in business, and I got an email from the FEI, the largest equine federation in the world, and they said, we want to come do a documentary on you and your herd for horse facilitated development. And I thought it was a joke, first of all. Okay. I wasn't going to get back to them until Jessica said, you have to. That is the largest equine federation in the world. Okay. So we said, okay, we'll set them up. They came out from the UK. And when they were coming, I said to Jess, you know what I need to do? I need to run around. I need to get better barrels. I need to get this better. I need new halters. I need new ropes, all this kind of stuff. And she said, Tamara, you need to stay in your zone of significance, your zone of genius, and you need to show up as you are. Because if you don't, you are going to move down into incompetence and work from a place that you are not, and you can never create the magic that they're looking for. Right? Inside you is a superpower. That's what they're looking for. And I had to let go of those reins of perfection and realize that by allowing that to go and allowing that to flow out, it created the largest opportunity that happened for us. All I saw was obstacles. Our place doesn't look like, we don't have a covered arena. We live way out of town. Our laneway's muddy, blah, blah, blah. Right? But out of that obstacle, I had to, thanks to Jessica, start looking at the opportunity. Out of that created one of the largest opportunities we've had. And we now have people from all over the world coming to our facility. We still don't have an arena, and we're still half an hour out of town, and we're still charging 4 times as much as the barn that does riding lessons. Do any of those people care? Absolutely not. But you have to let go of the reins. And if you can't let go of the reins, you don't know the incredible, large, massive thing that is planned for you because you keep choke holding it. Jess, let's move on to the next slide where I can talk all day about this. And so the last piece, I think, is the 4 pillars of Equine Assisted Way. This is what we work with. Number 1 is presence. When you're feeling like you're stuck in an obstacle or you're stuck in imposter, get present. Okay? If you are in your presence, get aware. Okay? So you had an obstacle, you're present, just be aware. Start to look all around the obstacle because the problem and the solution are not in the same energy. Allow it to sit a little bit. Allow it to be okay that there is an obstacle. Allow yourself to be excited that things are just going to look a little bit different, and trust that things not only could look different, but they could look a zillion times better than you could ever plan. And so my question is, from a place of presence, awareness, allowance, and trust, both on imposter and obstacles, if I was acting only in my zone of genius, how would I respond? Okay. If I wasn't present, if I was aware of what was going around with me, if I allowed things to look different and I trusted that there was something bigger, better, and more significant and impactful, how would I respond? Personal awareness, personal attitude goes as far as you need. And so which of my superpowers do I need to use right now? Each of you have superpowers. Each of you have something. And here's the thing is, it's simple. I guarantee it. Your superpowers are simple. They're easy for you. They're the things that other people say, how did she do that so easily? That was incredible. And you go, oh, it's just the thing that I do. Your superpower lies in that. Which one of your superpowers do you need to use to create the opportunity for yourself? Okay. We create opportunities, and they usually are given to us by a hard thump on the side as an obstacle. Okay. Without obstacles, we would not have the opportunities. Jess? Sometimes you got to have faith. All right. Good old Steve Jobs. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. Okay. So yeah, Emma, favorite quote. Somebody asked about insurance. Feel free to PM me afterwards. Not sure what that question is, but I will do my best to answer that. Sometimes you got to faith. That's the whole thing. Back to my story of the FEI. If I thought I was going to stronghold and decide how we were going to get into a documentary, it just wouldn't have happened, right? And things can happen so much more incredible than we can ever imagine, but we can only connect those dots looking backwards. And so on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Jessica. Jess, can you just make sure that's my last slide? Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to hand it over to Jessica. We want to not only leave you with some motivation, not only leave you with those core pieces of figuring out your niche, your lane, who you are, and just showing up there so you can abolish, like literally annihilate imposter syndrome. Okay, it's got to go, and know that you're I hope you're excited about looking at opportunities and obstacles now. Okay, but we all have to find somewhere to get going. I know when I first got certified, again, I don't care if you're certified or not, My sticky point, I trusted the horses. I knew that this stuff worked. I knew that I could sit back and be the contributor and that the horses were the guru, but I knew I had to guru for like 5 minutes. What do I mean by that? When people showed up and the horses, maybe we didn't have congruence yet. We weren't present yet. The horses hadn't decided if they were going to step into their genius yet. And that's a whole nother thing. Your horses have a zone of genius. I always needed help with the setup. And so Jess and I both found this, and we were lucky, we took our course together. And so we would talk before a group for the first time or before your first one-on-one, and we would say, how are we? It's just about getting going. That's the only guru part we had. And so this is really, we kind of have two different ways that we do it depending on the group. And this is one of them, and it's the serve model. And so because you showed up live, fortune favors the bold, okay? Jessica is going to go through it, and then she's going to put the link into the chat, okay? So it's not going into the round pen, it's going into the chat. And so it'll be there for you. Not saying you have to use this, but I know if you're like me, I just needed a little help along the way to get talking so I could get through guru, get back into contributor, and allow the horses to take over. And so on that note, I'm excited to hand over to Jessica. If you haven't met her yet, she's phenomenal. She has 2 littles, so she keeps herself busy with that. She works in leadership and has her entire career. She has seen and heard equine out of Alberta, Canada, working with at-risk youth and pairing them with at-risk horses. And so I won't get too much into it today, but phenomenal program. And she's really known for taking very basic things and
Oh, I think we lost Tamara. Can I just get a thumbs up or something in the chat so you can still hear me? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we developed this serve model. But first I want to activate my superpowers before I get to this. So
Ready?
this is the serve model. And I'm just gonna get who is that? Oh, just to remind everyone to put yourselves on mute. Nicole, I think, is that you? Okay, there we go. So the serve model, it kind of has 5 really basic steps to cover. You don't have to do it in the order, but it's just kind of a reminder of what conversations you can start with your clients to set up how to truly experience horse facilitated development and how to make the most of it. So first and right off the bat is senses. So I have been posting some of the exercises that we use. I've got the countdown to presence exercise. Tamara's got Stickman. It's a great place to start in any session, is to jump in and get present. What are you feeling? Like, start with your eyes, your ears. What can you hear? This is something that the horses have too. They live in their senses, and it hardwires them to live in the present, to be in the moment. And it is when we join them in this moment that transformation and growth can truly start. And if you explain it to your client, you know, there's no smoke and mirrors here. Like, this is literally how it works. Start off with getting present and see what comes up. The next, we've got expression. So this is the whole non-verbal communication piece. I always empower clients by saying we've been able to read and have been reading body language since the moment we were born. Before we had the words, we would read the body language from our parents, the facial expressions. And it is through this type of communication that we get a sense or a gut feeling about what is happening in the world around us, in our environments. And it is in that space that we are able to connect and communicate with horses and understand what we put out there can have a huge effect on our environment. And we might not know that until we partner with a horse and they start acting a specific way. So really setting the stage and explaining how that works to clients and empowering them that they've been doing this already and they know how to do it too. So encourage them to go with what they think the horse is doing and what they think it could potentially mean. The next piece is reflection. So, and I just want to remind everyone in all of this, like stick to your zone and what you do know about horses, and really make it your own. So when it comes to reflection, I always explain that horses are a herd prey animal. And what that means is that they have a social scale and they rely on each other using nonverbal communication to survive. So if one horse's heart rate picks up, they can sense that. It will elevate the whole herd's heart rate, and they'll look for a threat. So when we work in this space, and I remind clients that horses can hear a human heartbeat up to 4 feet away and feel a human heartbeat up to 40 feet away. So the sensitivity piece is really key there in reminding people that horses do everything for a reason. And when we explore that, that's where transformation and growth can start to happen again. Vulnerability. So this is something, again, in the setup, I always like to address. Horses will always show up when we do, and they have no interest working with incongruence or hiding truths. So when horses don't show up and you get that sense, bring up vulnerability. If a person is really there to transform and grow, they need to be able to find that place and speak their own truths, and the horses will always be there when they do. And it's almost a sense of giving someone permission, because most of the time when you're speaking in this way, it's going to be with a new client, like somebody showing up for the first time. And how hard is it to be completely vulnerable in a new place, in a new environment, with a new person that you don't really know? So when we speak about this, it kind of is addressing the elephant in the room, and allowing your clients to be vulnerable with you is, again, going to set you up and your client up, and your horses too, to have a phenomenal session. And I also address how, like, horses have an incredible ability to help us process emotions. And it is, you know, I have some Kleenex here because it is okay to cry and allow the tears to flow and process things. So again, removing the awkwardness around emotions, showing emotions, and empowering the strength and vulnerability behind doing so, and how life-changing that can be. The last one is empower. So empowerment goes 3 ways in all of this. You've got to empower yourself as a facilitator to trust your horses. You've got to empower your herd to operate at a high level and step back and allow them to do so and trust that they've got this. And number 3 is empowering your client to grow, to go with those gut feelings, to feel themselves both mentally and physically, and create a foundation to turn their lives around. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. There's 5 simple points. If you can remember the word serve and go through them. And again, I want to challenge you to put this in your own words. Use facts that you already know. And really make it your own in welcoming clients to your place and setting up for an incredible session. So I am going to right now put the link to this PDF in the chat.
Jess, if you want to switch to the next slide, I will close it out while you do that.
Sounds good. I'm not sure what that red thing is.
Perfect. So I apologize. I'm in the truck and it got too hot and my phone just shut down. It said you've overheated. So I guess I got way too excited talking about obstacles and opportunities and imposter and that incredible zone of genius and those superpowers you have. So I hope you enjoyed today's round pen. Our next round pen, so it's every 4 weeks on the Monday at the same time, except for when there's daylight savings. There was tons of people checking in an hour ago, and there'll be tons of people checking in an hour. But you know, put it into your own words, put it into the place that works for you. Find that piece that's you. And so if you're not in the round pen, we have the round pen on Facebook. That's the code for it, or simply go to that link and request access there. But here's your challenge. You showed up, right? showing up is half the battle. The other half is doing something with it. And so I put a hashtag there, obstacles into opportunities. I want you to go into the round pen and decide which obstacle have you been fighting with that it's time to move into an opportunity. Hashtag that, put it out there. Putting it into words brings life and energy to your commitments. Okay. So I hope that you found value here. Thanks for showing up, and look forward to seeing you in the round pen. So Jess, if you want to stop recording, we'll leave it open for a minute for people to go and click that, save that link so you have that serve process. Yeah, Kimberly, there's no secrets to